Oxylog 3000, this is the ventilator that we have in ED recess currently, but this is not that ventilator, this is the one stolen from ITU. Okay? So the difference between this and the baby pack is this can still go down to 5 kilos, so you can ventilate very small infants on it, but you can go all the way up to an adult with this. Okay? Some very basic principles before we turn it on is going to be the dials and the modes. Okay? You only need to know 2 modes. So you've got volume control with SIMV, so that's for a patient that's breathing and you want to support their breathing, and you've got volume control with, I can't remember what it is, CMV. So again, if you've got a paralysed patient that they're not going to breathe spontaneously, you can just put them onto that mode. Okay. You've got some simple dials. Now, going through the basics, it's oxygen only. So again, there'll be a limit on how low oxygen you can deliver on this, but I don't actually know because I've played with it for ages. So simple principles, volume control. So this is the amount of volume that you want to give to your patient, and it even has a really handy guide in the colours for your kilos and roughly what their normal respiratory volumes would be. Okay, so if you've got a 10 kilo infant and you want to give them 5 mils per kilo, you can just dial it down to 50. If you want to give them 10 mils per kilo because you're really struggling, you can go up to 100. Okay, so that's quite simple.
So just to
but for all ages, is it still 5 per kilo as your starting place?
That'd be a rough. So somewhere around 4 to 6 is reasonable. As you get into really big kids, so if you're 100 kilos, trying to give them 600 mils, that's 100 kilos times it. Yeah, that's pretty, not unreasonable. Okay, and it goes up to 2 litres, so you can go up to really big volumes if you need to. I mean, the principles of ventilating COVID patients is they need really high peeps rather than massive volumes. But that's there. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. Next one, nice and simple, I think, is respiratory rates. So that you don't have to do anything fancy with I times and E times. You just dial the rate that you want. And again, you go roughly on what their physiological rate would be. Then you've got your P max. So that's the point at which it starts to tell you that it can't achieve your tidal volumes. So if you've got very stiff lungs and I set you to 500 mils, but I only let it have a maximum pressure of 30, it will alarm and say I can't do that.
So you want to put it up.
I'm giving 30, I'm not getting your 500 mils. Be aware of that, and you may have to tweak this up to get
it's
bigger.
just an alarm limit.
Yeah.
So it alarms when you're not able to achieve the volumes with the pressure that you've set.
Yeah. It's an alarm.
Yeah.
Alarm guard.
Yeah, so it just lets you know that you're giving quite a lot of pressure and you may need to be aware of that.
So in neonates we set it roughly 5 above. Is that the same principle for pediatric cases?
So I think it would be reasonable.
Fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't done PICU, so I thought I'd just ask.
So we don't use the Oxylog in PICU either because it's mostly transfer. But yeah, absolutely. So starting at 30 is reasonable, and it gives you reasonable starting values when you set it up in a minute. Okay, and then you've got your FiO2. And again, because you're running only off oxygen, the minimum you can give is 40. So there's no other way to give more or less than, to give less than 40 on this. Okay. The one thing that's missing from this is PEEP, because you haven't got a PEEP dial, and that's actually set electronically, and we'll do that in a minute. Okay. All right. So turning it on is your blue button, then you select your modes, dial in what you want, and then you're good to go. Okay.
There's a button for 100% O2.
There is here.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So if you want, but that just puts the oxygen up to 100% for about 2 minutes. If you're disconnected and you're reconnecting and they're desaturating, you've got that as an option. But you can also just dial it up.
Okay.
Pediatric circuit. So this one you have to be a little bit more wary of. It's a so you've only got a gas output, and then it will exhale to the room. So if you're ventilating a child with this circuit and you've not got an HME on, you're just exhaling everything to the room.
What is a HME?
HME.
HME, the filter.
HME.
Yeah. Okay. So again, this is a test lung, so ignore this. This isn't here. But if this is going on the end of your ET tube, you must have an HME on it. Otherwise, you are just spraying their exhaled breath all around the room.
So just
is this all set up?
So this is normally set up in the resus trolleys, but if in an emergency ED, you know how to set up as well.
So just to be aware, we had a situation where we could not troubleshoot and it just wasn't accepting our values. What we realized was that the pack came with a green tubing.
That's the other, yeah.
And we were told that is fine for a pediatric setup, but in hindsight we realized it's only the blue one. So if somebody tells you can use the green tubing, you do not use it for children, it's only the blue one.
Yeah, that's not something I do. So there we go.
And this all comes as a one piece.
Yeah, it comes as one piece in a sterile pack.
And if the ED staff are very busy, and where do I find them?
So this will be in the recess trolley.
It'll be in the trolley.
So yeah, in recess.
Sorry, it'll be inside a packet. What's the packet called?
I have no idea. It's a
So
plastic bag.
it's a plastic bag, like you rip it off, open, and it's preset for you.
Yeah. Okay, but just be aware again. You need an HME, and otherwise you contaminate not just the circuit, but the entire ring. Okay.
Where is it attached at the other side?
So you've just got three things. They're color coded. So blue is the
If you can
small
turn it
blue,
around further
white
to the
is
camera.
Sorry.
Yep.
So, sorry, Mona. So they only go where they fit. So the big blue tube goes on the big end tubes, and then the two smaller tubes. So these are your flow and pressure sensors. They're color coded as to what you want to put on. Okay. Happy with that?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So turning it on, a little bar will start going across the screen now. Now you have to, when that's going across, push this, if it will let me, and it will go into device setup. So we're going to go into device check, I believe, and then so this is the thing that sometimes runs into trouble, is that it's set up for an adult circuit. So if you don't press the button as it's turning on, it will default to an adult circuit. So we need to then change that to a PEDS circuit, and we're using a PEDS disposable. Okay. That's the only really finicky thing about it, and then everything else is sort of self-explanatory, doesn't it? It goes through a test process, and it tells you what to do as it goes. So it's realised that the test lung is attached, and I think ED have a green one of these, but there will be one around. And it's just figuring out what to do. It takes a minute or two to set it up, and there is some twiddling of the dials to do through that.
So that's the problem. If you use a wrong circuit with the pediatric disposable, it'll keep on alarming.
Yeah, it won't be able to set up properly.
You mean the green one?
The green one, yeah.
We're not supposed to use the green
No.
one. Only blue for kids.
Yep.
Yeah. So in a minute it'll start telling me what to do. So it says adjust rotary knob for the volume. So what it wants to do now is calibrate all of the knobs to make sure that where they are marked is what it's thinking it should deliver. So I'm going to turn it down to 50, and it'll ask me to go down to 50 and you'll get a tick, and then I'm going to turn it to 2000 and it should give a tick. Okay, nice and simple. Then it's going to ask me to put it back to something sensible, so you don't turn it on at 2 litres in a 5 kilo baby. Okay, so it's going to ask me to go back to 100. I should get a tick somewhere. Am I near 100? It's hard to do it. Yeah. There you go. Okay. So next it's going to say set the respiratory rate to 2. So I'm going to set it all the way down to 2 and get my tick. Then it's going to say set it to maximum, 60. Should get a tick. And then it's going to ask me to set it to something sensible, which is 30. And I can see that one. So there we go. Okay. No, I want to set it to 20. Apologies. Okay, so set it to 30. Pressure max to 20, so down to minimum, get the tick. Pressure max to 60, all the way up to 60, get the tick. And then it's going to ask me to set it to 30, which is probably about there. Okay. And then oxygen to minimum, oxygen to maximum. And then, what's it going to say?
Loudspeaker volume.
Yeah, loudspeaker works. Lights light up. Alarm buzzer works. Okay, and then it's going to run its final self-check and it'll be set up to run.
So is this all done by
The anaesthetic team usually.
This is normally done by the anaesthetic team.
in a dire situation?
Yeah.
We do.
In a dire situation, we might have to do it,
Yeah.
so it's good to be
But it's
aware.
all very straightforward.
Yeah, the more that we know, though,
Yeah.
the
The
better.
last time we did it on the ward on my nights, they set it up and
Yeah.
we couldn't figure out because they said that the green one was compatible with the big child, which
Yeah.
it wasn't.
I mean, you could use the green tubing in a big child, provided it's set.
So the setting, yeah, we set it to a pediatric disposable.
One second. What are we complaining about? Yeah.
Device check, population monitoring
Yeah.
is running.
Yeah. It's just going to finish that bar and then it'll be good to go. You can let me know when it gets to it. Saves me having to bend over it.
You said it sets the peak automatically.
You can set the peak. But
Finished.
We'll go through setting the peak up now, so we're finished. Okay. Fine. So we should be able to confirm, and then we should be able to go to start ventilation. All right. Okay. So going through the basics then. So say we've got a 10 kilo child that's muscle relaxed and ventilated with sepsis. Okay. So we don't really want SIMV because they're going to be muscle relaxed. So we'll just go to good old volume control CMV. Okay. So they're 10 kilos. How are we going to set this up for them?
About 5 per kilo.
Yeah, we start with. Yeah, so we can get down to 50, which is the minimum. Okay. And then what have we got next? Forgive me. Respiratory rate. So what respiratory rate do you want for a 1-year-old? 40, 30, 20, somewhere in that region. So we'll set 30. Okay. Oxygen, I think I'm on oxygen. No, sorry, pressure max now. We're not expecting them to use huge amounts of pressure, so setting it to 30 is a reasonable place to start. I don't know what you're alarming on.
Or low.
Yeah. Okay. And then oxygen you can dial up to where you need. It's probably complaining because it's connected to the cylinder. Okay. Right. Now the one thing we haven't talked about, like rightly so, is setting the PEEP. If they're hard to oxygenate, you might want to push the PEEP up a little bit to get your mean airway pressure up. And PEEP is the very first setting on here.
Alright.
So you literally just click it and you dial in what you want. So you want a PEEP of 8.
But it chooses an initial value itself.
It will choose an initial value itself of 5, it will default to. So that's a reasonable place to start. But if you're really struggling and you want to push the PEEP up a bit to get the mean airway pressure up, then you can push the PEEP up there. Okay. Your trigger doesn't matter when you're on CMV. Your trigger is about deciding whether a breath that the patient makes is detected or not. SIMV, you can fiddle with that there to make sure that it's detecting them, but by and large we can avoid that. We're just doing the real basics. Okay. Another concept that, again, if you haven't done a lot of PICU, is about inspiration to expiration ratio and how long it gives your inspiratory breath for. On this, the really nice thing is we are quite happy with doing an I time from the innate, so you can dial that up and down. You can change the ratio, you can ignore what the actual ratio is just to get the I time that you want. Okay, so if you want an I, so for a child, for a neonate we do an I time of about 0.4, for a bigger child about 0.6 to even 1 sometimes if they're really hard to oxygenate is fine, and then you don't have to worry too much about this I to IE ratio. Okay, and that is basically it for this. It's not anything more fancy than that. Okay. There are lots of things you can do, so you can set your alarm limits, and there's a nice way just to, once you've connected to your patient, if you think that the alarm limits are relatively normal, you can just do the auto set and then it will stop it alarming, because the defaults aren't very good for a kid. But you can set them manually if you want to, but I would just let it alarm.
And that's only for minute volume, the alarm.
That's for minute volume, I believe, yeah.
Quite a big range though.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It should be fine.
Yeah. No worries. And then there's, you can get lots of information if you want to look at, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah.
Yep.
So if you do this one, you can bring up the nice menu screen so you can see exactly what you're delivering in terms of airway pressures and PEEP if you want to talk to cats about what values you're delivering. Okay. You have your little graph here of just of what pressure is being delivered with each breath. So that's just your pressure over, and that's time over there.
And you've got the different curves also, the next button down.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go too much into the curves if I'm really honest.
Fine.
They're there if you need
No,
them.
I don't think we need to know.
No. Okay.
Where do these kids live?
So there's one. So this ventilator, the one that we would probably be using most common is the one in recess, and it's in the PEEP recess bay on the wall. So yeah, so it's worth being aware that that is there, because actually, if cats say we're going to be 4 hours and our ITU is rammed,
Keep it on there.
they can probably go to the PEEP wall for a little while, or stay in recess depending on how things are. We'll just go through it. So we'll go back. So did you see the calibration finish?
Yeah, I saw the calibration.
Cool. So we were just saying we're going to set it up. So say you've got a 60 key